Caballeros y Vaqueros is an origins exhibition that uses the material culture objects and art objects based in cowboy culture from the National Cowboy Museum's collection to first tell the story about cowboy origins, where that story began, what's cowboy ground zero, and also to bring in the idea that humans have a natural inclination and a need to create things that are beautiful and to beautify and make their workspaces more interesting. So a cowboy's office is on the back of a horse. Therefore, it stands to reason that the clothes he wears, the hat he wears, the saddle he rides is going to be decorated in a certain way. And so that's what the origin show, Caballeros y Vaqueros, we hope tells that story. Caballeros y Vaqueros is a comparison between a caballero, basically a gentleman on horseback, and a vaquero, who's a workman who works with cattle. So a gentleman on horseback speaks directly to status, and also the caste system in Spain, where someone who was literally elevated geographically above a person on foot was usually a gentleman, and therefore a caballero was someone who had a social status above the regular person. On the other hand, a vaquero was usually a peon, someone who was of Indian ancestry or a mixed blood initially. So what I mean by that is the first cowboys were probably Indians. And so there's a direct comparison, but they're all using similar technologies, and ultimately those workers become the mythological being that we know as the American cowboy today. It's across the board. Typical things that you would see in a cowboy history exhibition, but in this case, those objects are presented as art objects, and so you'll see bits and spurs as you would expect. You'll see boots as you would expect. There are saddles of all different types from multiple cultures, decorated sometimes similarly, and so you'll see common threads that run through all of them. You'll also see the use of other materials you may not be used to seeing, like hitched and braided horsehair bridles and headstalls, for example. Fine metal work that goes back to the latter part of the 18th century all the way up to the middle of the 20th century. And so there are all kinds of decoration techniques that you'll see in here, and they're presented as art objects.